Hi, a couple of days to the auction closes. We've had some questions about the rust, so we've got Dan in here to make comment. We found him on Google, and he's a local expert here, so hopefully he can help you guys out. Dan.
Yeah, g'day guys. Just show you around the bus, show the main points. It's pretty simple. It's not a hard build, but it's time. But you know, at the end of the day, the right hands that'll get it done.
So thanks, Dan.
So we've got a few areas throughout the bus that have been retouched before, and where there's the banding up along the roof line and these seams. And it appears to me that whilst the seams have been done and they've been sealed along the edges, a lot of the time, typically it'll be a prime surface on either side with a sealant that'll squish out and be cleaned up after everything's nice and tight. So in my opinion, it's a humidity issue with the sealant and not being applied properly, and yeah, certain sections of this will need to be replaced. We have up here, for example, areas like this, which would be typically for me, if the bottom of the panel was nothing wrong with it, I'd put a slice through here, these regions, replace the top after removing the windows, remove this channel.
Is this bubbling like this a major?
Yeah, because typically when the bubbles are so hot, so proud and so soft, that means that something's going on underneath there. There may be, I mean, there's most certainly a hole there. If I dug in that with a screwdriver, it most certainly be a hole.
Yep.
But then when you replace that section through here, it'll mitigate all that. You know, it's just a matter of getting that rust out of there, stopping the cause of it, and putting it all back together.
And the roof's had this bituminous tape on it.
Yeah,
that's
the reason why they've done
over
that,
a seam.
Yeah, it's a cheap and easy way to fix or cover up a rust hole. You know, I've seen that dozens of times. It's good for a make fix, but it's not good for.
So we're talking about a roof rebuild on the thing, which is really what needs to be done.
Yeah, that's where the water's coming from.
Yep.
That's where the rust is. You know, it sits there. This sort of stuff just flaps around in the wind. The water gets up underneath it, and just becomes a nightmare.
So it's not a major, but it's more time.
It's time. Yep. It's time, and for somebody that loves this sort of thing, it's exactly what you know somebody can do. You know, it's just the labour of love of having it. You know, it's in once again got the typical seams. They've started to split away, mismatching the screws. And on the other side, I think I saw a rivet up here. So you know, somebody's partially.
Yeah. Oh, that one's a screw too.
That's a screw, flatted. So I can tell straight away. These were riveted back when they were made. You know, set rivets and blind rivets, and put together by Coach Builders with a bucking dolly and everything on the back of them. So these, it's like that throughout.
The ding from my trailer event?
Yeah, I heard about that a little bit earlier. Once again, dents aren't hard to pull, they're not hard to fix, but it's more about, you know, the areas where water can get in.
Yes.
Water is your enemy with a little bus like this, and this is...
That's a lot of sun on the back where it's been in the shed too, that particular panel.
Yeah,
That's also been replaced, right?
It's also preparation. You know, I'd imagine that this had doors in the back of it at one point, otherwise they wouldn't have the cut bunker and the step up here. So that's been an infill, I get it, but the prep has not been good when I put paint on.
Yeah.
You know, so I standing back from a distance, I might have thought that might have been filler, but it's not. It's dead steel, but it's just the prep. Yeah. On the paint was probably not ideal. Yeah. Bits and pieces like this and behind the bumper irons. You know, it's not. You know, it's not that.
And there is some filler in here.
Yeah. Look, you're going to get filler like that in those areas because people don't want to spend the time fixing it. But to be perfectly honest, the big panels are easier to fix than the little ones. They're less intricate. You know, so when you're going through and you're replacing from that seam across to the wherever it joins into the iron here, it's a big panel, nice easy folds, nice easy welds. Everything's simple pimple. Pop rivet in the back here. there's this back section. There doesn't seem to be any kind of humidity going on behind these seams where the seal has failed. Well, you see once again here, these are the old rivets. These are the old blind rivets. You know.
So that top part of the bus hasn't been touched?
No, this side hasn't.
No.
They've replaced a few screws here.
Yeah, down a bit further.
Where they've obviously decided to, they wanted to have a go at taking that off. I don't know why they finished it. But all these screws, they're all home tight. But then the seam seal is let go. You know, so it would be not hard for somebody to undo these screws, clean up in between the flanges.
Yeah.
In some sections where it doesn't need to be replaced or too intrusive. But there's no reason why you couldn't pull those seams apart, clean them up.
Yeah.
You know, either convert them or rust kill or whatever you choose to do, and then reseal.
Okay.
You know, so
that was what I said was the worst bit of rust when I first did the video, and I see somebody's poked into it, and we can see actually some insulation on the inside of the bus there, so it's all been insulated.
Yep. So just a little bit of work down the bottom here on the sill. Seems to be all intact. A little bit of mud, but you know, little repairs like that. A lot of it's just humidity. You know, moisture under the paint. And
So those ones are just a bit of moisture on
yeah, I would imagine. I would just about guarantee that they will clean up, no problems at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, we move to the front here. Got a failure in the top of the front guard, and the reason for that is because these old vehicles, you know, I mean, I've seen it with jail bars, I've seen it with, well, obviously dozens of vehicles, but when it was retouched, there must have been rust seed left in the steel.
Yes.
And you know, as it gets prepped and primed and everything gets built up, and they go and put filler on top of it.
Yeah.
That rust seed has had oxygen to feed it, so that's the main reason why that sort of thing fails. Got seam sealer through here.
Yep.
And you know, the whole firewall bulkhead sort of thing is you know,
hood, and you've heard the Chevy running, and it seems to run.
Yeah, she runs
smooth.
lovely. Yeah.
Yep.
We've got a whole bunch of naughtiness going on up here. A lot of that'll be cosmetic, but that tends to be more than two skins in these areas.
Okay.
And that often is the time-consuming part. We've got
stuff in the engine well and in the chassis rails and stuff like this, all kind of.
Everything seems and appears solid, you know, after having a decent look at it. And yeah, she'd love a little bit of paint down there and a darn good clean-up. But it's sound, you know.
Well, hopefully somebody does give it that love. That's what we'd like to see it back on the road, right?
Yeah. That's not the major stuff, you know. Like it takes time, but then, you know, people, the kind of person I imagine that would buy this bus is somebody that would take that time, take pride in it, and not just be happy with it thrown together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what we hope for sure.
So
it'd be nice to see somebody that does have that pride and want
Yeah,
to get back
yeah.
on the road. And
yeah, so you should I mean, it's 454, runs sweet as a nut.
yeah,
It's lovely. Forward reverse park, it's all perfect. And it's got a rebuilt radar here.
yeah. I just got this done. We haven't much use in it. And you said there might be some sort of little disconnection here thing, but
Yeah. So
nothing too major there.
That's nothing too major. There was a repair on the front of the bonnet here. It's,
Oh yeah, you have to go up underneath there, honey. Yep.
It's been done in the past, and that's typical. You see that all the time.
This bit in here.
Yeah. They've done a nice job from the outside, but on the inside it looks like a rat bag. But the bonnet in itself and all the front end is in remarkably good shape. That's just about to walk around, isn't it?
That is.
This top window up the top here, it's got some sort of stipple coat on the white paint, and just quite often, after it's had a base colour, we'll get that stipple coat put on it.
Yeah.
And then paint it over. You know, it's
And the internal lining and stuff, some of that would need to come out to do the work properly anyway.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
and it's all I've put it on there as in fair condition because it has had a bit of water come through. But if somebody wanted to kind of recover it, they probably could. But it'd probably be better off to redo it with that by the time you did that work up there.
In my understanding, all that would have to come out to be perfectly fair. Because if you're welding, you're doing any kind of grinding or anything like that, the last thing you want is there's any kind of insulation now. It could be pink bats, could be K-pop, could be anything left over from back then. But
Looks like it's rock wool, but
still
could
you just want to get anything that's going to be burnable out of the way, and you don't want to have any accidents when you go and spend all this time getting everything lovely, and one welding spark goes and stuffs it up for you. So.
Yep, and the way I see the value of it is that the value for the buyer really is that it is has had certification, and it's got the big block in, it's got the trans, it's had some love, but it does need some time and some money with an expert to get it back on the road, and anyone that buys it should know that it does require that work.
Yeah, that's
Thanks, Dan.
exactly fair.
Thanks for coming today, really appreciate it, mate.
Thanks very much.
Excellent.
Lovely.